Are we gonna get more collabs for Monster Hunter Wilds? As you guys know, in Monster Hunter World there were several high-profile collabs like with The Witcher or with Final Fantasy, where we got to see crossover events, mainly skins. The Fortnitification of the gaming industry is happening before our eyes, but are we gonna see them in Monster Hunter Wilds? Because I think between all this glazing that has been dropping, people are forgetting what's going on here, and there is a perfectly beautiful article that encapsulates that little thing that you should check out. How Worlds, Final Fantasy XIV and The Witcher 3 collabs inspired Monster Hunter Wilds. And this is a talk between Tokuda, the director of Monster Hunter Wilds, and how all the other companies had an influence in Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Wilds introduces many changes, new features, and quality of life improvements to the Monster Hunter series. But did you know that the developers were experimenting with ideas for this behemoth of an installment all the way back during Monster Hunter World's crossover events? That's right, and he's talking about Shoshi P, the Final Fantasy XIV director, and he was apparently talking to him during the Final Fantasy XIV crossover. They made a bunch of skins, and it directly affected new gameplay elements in Monster Hunter Wilds. Now this is important because Final Fantasy XIV is an MMORPG, and I have been talking about in my previous videos that I think Monster Hunter has been steadily going into the MMORPG route. Maybe never gonna become an MMORPG itself, but the more the series goes on, we see a more complex crafting system. We see armor traits, which were not a thing before. We see grinding, the act of grinding involved a lot more in the series. We see reliance on multiplayer. And let me tell you, even though we had to struggle for 20 minutes to get a group in Wilds working, the multiplayer in Monster Hunter World, that's gonna be an entire video, I gotta work on that, is atrocious, okay, compared to Wilds. Wilds is so much better. In Worlds, there are times where you are in the same quest as your friend, in the same perfect part of the campaign as your friend, and you cannot join his quest or he cannot join your quest, because you need to watch the cinematic to join each other once, even though you're gonna do the same quest to watch that cinematic. It is so stupid. But in Wilds, you just join the party and you go. And I think that's one of the main influences that MMOs are having on Monster Hunter, that the social aspect of Monster Hunter, which was not a core part of the design, multiplayer was an afterthought back in the PlayStation 2 and the Wii days, but now it is a core integrated part of the game. In short conversations with Shoshi P while collaborating on the Final Fantasy XIV crossover, inspired a change to Monster Hunter Wilds heads-up display, introducing attack names appearing on screen as you perform them. As you see, now you do them here and it shows, this is like the, if you play a fighting game and you use the training tool, it shows the name of the attack or the combo, same thing. Of course, Final Fantasy has a cast bar like any other MMO, but one thing I really appreciate, and this is a problem more with a non-visual game, this is not that big a problem, but any bit of information that shows you in the footage what you are doing makes it at 20 times more watchable as a stream. How many times have you tried to watch like a World of Warcraft video or like a top of the line raid, competitive, whatever, and you literally cannot tell what people are doing? It is a small feature, but in my view, this shows that they are trying to optimize the game for making streaming content a little bit, which, I mean, I know the average player is not gonna care, but if you wanna sell a game in 2025, you gotta get the streamers on board. While working together on Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy XIV crossover, at a reveal event, Shoshi P told Monster Hunter director Tokuda that players like to be able to see the name of the attack they are doing as they do it. And so the new feature was born, which you can see highlighted in the image above, this thing right here. We got a tiny taste of this feature during the 2018 Final Fantasy XIV crossover. It was a pretty huge collaboration that featured catchable cactuars. Cactuars are from Final Fantasy XIV, they are in the desert area of Monster Hunter World, but they are from Final Fantasy. A giant Kuluyaku with a crystal hunted to the Chocobo music, incredibly cool Draken armor, and a lot more. Most notably, the collab featured a notoriously difficult fight in Monster Hunter World, Behemoth. they are putting Final Fantasy XIV in the game. As in most MMORPGs, you can see boss behemoths move appear on text on screen as it casts them in the World Collab, which you can see on action in the video below. So as you can see right here, the behemoth is oh, this is so blurry. It is the footage they got in the website. But right here it says the behemoth is casting yada yada, the behemoth is casting yada yada. After completing the repel quest for behemoth, you unlock the jump emote directly inspired by the dragoon's movement in Final Fantasy. The dragoon is the spear guy in Final Fantasy. When using the emote, text pops on the screen, Hunter performs jump. Once again, a mockery of the Final Fantasy UI. Is a collab, you know, kind of like parodying it. He's also talking about Monster Hunter Wilds being influenced by The Witcher. Monster Hunter Wilds director Yuya Tokuda mentioned being impressed when some people compared Monster Hunter Wilds dialogue and some of its gameplay to elements in The Witcher 3, which is an RPG. Because that is exactly what inspired the addition. The team looked at the popular impressive Monster Hunter World Witcher 3 collaboration as a test of sorts to see how players would react to more dialogue and options in Monster Hunter, and they are now adding a dialogue system to Monster Hunter Wilds. Do I think that's cool? No, I think that's super lame. I don't want any plot in my Monster Hunter game. But some of you are into that, you sick people. This contrasts to the innate playable character in Monster Hunter World and the iterations before it, where the main character is voiceless and wordless. That is not the case in Monster Hunter Wilds, where you can talk when your character has conversations and voice with the NPCs around you. Tokuda said they weren't actively developing Wilds just yet when Worlds collaboration were released, but he was just thinking that far ahead and what they could do for the new Monster Hunter. He especially wanted to include a The Witcher 3 collab in World and sought that opportunity with the CD Projekt Red team. So yes, there you go, the collab events are shaping up the game. Thankfully, Monster Hunter Wilds, all the dialogue is skippable, thank God. So like if they put dialogue in it, I don't care, I just skip all of it. But it makes you wonder, what other features are we gonna find from the collabs? Like, we're talking about Capcom here. What if we get a Resident Evil collab or a Dragon's Dogma collab, Resting Pepperonis? What features from those games are gonna come into Monster Hunter from that? But this IGN article doesn't really convey as much of the point they were trying to make, and I'm gonna hammer it home once again. If you look at this, Monster Hunter is pivoting. It is not the traditional Monster Hunter game anymore. They are pivoting more and more into a social live service game. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? We're gonna have to see when the game comes out. But the only reason that they are taking more of these features, and you cannot hate on it, right? Like, Monster Hunter World is a huge game. I think over time, Monster Hunter is just gonna become more and more MMO feeling, MMO-like. But what are your thoughts about it? Do you hate dialogue in Monster Hunter? Because I sure do! Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching!